Hey everyone, Gavin Newsom sure knows how to charm an audience.
I'm not, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. Maybe the wrong business to be in.
I'm Rich Lowry of National Review, and that clip from Gavin Newsom's gotten a lot of attention. He was on his book tour. He was at an event in Atlanta with a partly black audience, and the suggestion is that he said his SAT score was so low as a way to identify with an audience that he assumed also had low SAT scores, and therefore he's a racist. I don't think Gavin Newsom is a racist. I do think he's a maladroit panderer, but the more important critique of Gavin Newsom is that he has been a catastrophe for the state of California. He has made an outside contribution to the ruin of what should be one of the greatest states in the union. Let's count the ways. So one of the beauties of our system of government is we have different states that govern themselves differently under different models. And if you don't like one, you can move to another. So it's a key metric whether a state is failing or succeeding, whether people are moving in or moving out. And sure enough, they have been moving out of California in droves. 10 million people left between 2010 and 2024. Only 7 million moved in. California has been losing residents to other states since 2001. How can that be? This is a beautiful state with diverse and wonderful climates, tremendous agriculture, all sorts of fossil fuel resources, mineral resources, great ports and natural harbors. This is a place that used to lead population growth in the United States. What happened? Well, progressive governance that Gavin Newsom has doubled down on. The high levels of taxing, spending, regulation have made the cost of living unbearable for many Californians. Ed Ring of the California Policy Center set out some of the key metrics here very well. By the way, I'm going to rely on the California Policy Center for a lot of the research in this video. Credit where it's due. The cost of a home in California, on average, nearly $800,000 compared to $360,000 in the rest of the U.S. The price of a gallon of gasoline, I'm going to come back to some of this, by the way, in California is roughly $5 compared to $3 nationwide. As for residential electricity rates, consumers in California have to pay about 30 cents per kilowatt hour, a rate that is twice the national average. Now, if that's not bad enough, you get high taxes layered on top of it. Here's Ed Ring again. He posits a person who has a $100,000 per year job, then goes out, makes some more, working as an independent contractor, gets to an income of $176,000. Now, the marginal withholding rate for the state of California on income over $141,000 is 9.3%. Anything over $111,000 is taxed at 8%. Then there's a federal tax of 22% on any income over $94,000. I'm rounding these numbers, obviously, for the simplicity's sake, with Social Security and Medicare adding another 15.3%, and all the government taxes 46.6% of those last hard-earned dollars. Now, on top of that, you get state and local retail taxes. Now, not all that tax burden that Ring is setting out there is state or local, right? A lot of it is federal, but still it's a punitive level of taxation. And why do you get that? Well, one reason why is that in California, the level of spending is so astronomical. California state spending on a per capita inflation adjusted basis more than doubled from 2010 to 2020 and has continued going up since. Newsom is now proposing a $350 billion budget. What is he getting for it? Well, let's consider. Newsom wants to spend $149 billion on education. That is more than general fund expenditures when he was elected, as the California Policy Center points out, in 2018. The results? According to a report from the center, proficiency is still below pre-COVID levels for reading and math, despite a roughly 33% increase in funding since 2019-2020. California fourth graders scored 2 points below the national average for reading in 2022, and by 2024, the gap widened slightly to 3 points. California fourth graders also scored 4 points below the national average in math in both 22 and 24. National Assessment of Educational Progress data additionally shows that the state's eighth graders scored on par with the national average in reading in 22, but by 24 slipped 2 points lower. They remained 3 points below the national average in math for both 22 and 24. So lots of spending and zero results. Remember that, because that's going to be a theme. How about homelessness, an issue Newsom cares a lot about since taking office in 2018? He has spent $24 billion to alleviate or end homelessness, and instead, the homeless population in California has increased by 43%. How about high-speed rail? Well, California has spent more than $18 billion in public funds over years now, supposedly constructing this thing, and not a single track has been laid. One reason that California embarked on this great boondoggle of a high-speed rail project is that it thought it was a way to save the planet by addressing climate change. And this obsession drives any manner of idiotic California policies. Let's come back to something I mentioned briefly at the beginning: the incredibly high price of gas in California, the highest price in the continental United States. Now, why is that? Here's a report from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Why are prices so high? One, Californians pay the highest taxes at the pump, equivalent to 90 cents per gallon between local, state, and federal taxes. Then you got environmental compliance costs. They add as much as another 50 cents per gallon. Then you have a mandate for a special blend of gasoline designed to reduce pollution and improve air quality. This fuel burns cleaner but is more expensive, another common theme, to produce because it requires more processing steps and expensive blending components. In addition, California has long waged a campaign against the oil and gas industry, with some more planned closings of refineries. One estimate is that the price of gas could go to $8 a gallon in California by the end of the year. Don't know whether that's going to happen or not, but that just shows you the trajectory of things. Don't have time to really address it in this video, but also should mention the water policy in California is a disgrace and enforces scarcity on the state. Should also mention, by the way, last but not least, that according to Chief Executive Magazine, California has the worst business climate of any state in the union. Since 2020, something like 500 companies have left California or expanded their operations elsewhere, while they've shrunk their operations in California. So yes, Gavin Newsom and his ideological compatriots have managed to kneecap what should be one of the most glorious places in the United States of America. I don't care what his SAT score was. He has governed as the worst sort of impractical and destructive progressive, and his state has paid the price. I'm Rich Lowry, over and out.